School. I, like a lot of graduates these days, used to hate school. It seemed like a never-ending cycle of pointless learning and being held somewhere against our will all day. We as kids just thought it was the longest countdown to freedom. But now, as an adult who's been a high school graduate for at least 5 years, I realize that we may have taken school for granted. Don't you all see? We may have had it best in school in the span of 13 years. Because of school, I had to go to bed at an exact time so I could wake up at an exact time. Nowadays, it's hard to willingly get out of bed. Also, we got to see our friends on a daily basis, while now they're busy with their jobs, have moved, family, etc. I miss you guys. And while school may have been boring us with math, spelling, and social studies, there were still rewarding occasions for all our hard work. With at least a decade of school in my life, there comes some pretty interesting stories. So now, it is time to tell some of my school stories. Academy anecdotes. Or educational institution narratives. Elementary edition. Because I'm not putting all in one, so please subscribe for the rest. It's a school story video. I suppose we should start by discussing the start of the school day. Many may complain that the buses were smelly, crowded, or loud, but I enjoyed the bus rides, especially when I sat next to buddies like my pal Robert. Hey Robert, do you watch these videos? We lost contact years ago. Very strange fact about me, I was in kindergarten twice. And no, not because I didn't do well the first time. Apparently I started school a year early as I got too old for daycare. So some learning was needed in the meantime. My first teacher was a total sweetheart I'm gonna call Mrs. P for Precious. Due to me seeming like the shyest one in her homeroom, she treated me like I was her favorite. Nah, I really was her favorite. But being her favorite didn't mean I was excused from anything. When she found any of us misbehaving, well, let's just say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Don't worry, she really was a sweetheart. Sweet, yet has to be strict, as nothing stopped her from punishing me for apparently hitting 2 boys. Yeah, I was kind of a rascal without realizing it. It's later in life that I would feel really bad, so in some following years, I would apologize a few times to Mrs. P for being a brat, but every time I do, she claims she doesn't remember the bad things I did. How do you not remember? You called me out on those things. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Hitting 2 boys? No. Scooting around on the floor? No. Shouting the word boring? No. In the end, Mrs. Precious was a great teacher. She was nice to me, she was sweet, and she was part of why I would never forget kindergarten and why it was such a wonderful experience. My second kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Bookcover. I gotta say, she's got quite a fun-loving personality. I would know, because she was friends with my grandmother, because they went to the same church. Regarding the fact I did kindergarten again, I not only repeated the same grade, but also the same room, the same lessons, and the same books. I know especially because the math books had these fun lessons and games. Overall, Mrs. Bookcover was such a good teacher. First grade was upon us, and my teacher, Mrs. Lecture, was yet another nice teacher, and one with quite a sense of humor. At the beginning of the year, we were given sticker cards to put our names on, then stick them on something like our pencil cases. I stuck mine on my desk because it looked just right. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because at the end of the year, the desks had to be recycled for the next. So I had to remove the sticker, leaving behind a lot of residue. Mrs. Lecture was mad about that and told me it would have to stay like that for the next student who uses the desk. I wish I had the same kind of solution brain back then as I do today, because if I did, I would have gone all Agent P mode, grabbed the phone, and called Dad while he's still at work, tell him to bring the lacquer thinner over, and perform some magic. And ta-da! It's gone. In the end, she still forgave me for that little oops. And here's another fun fact. On her desk, there stood a particular statue. It resembles a human head, or maybe a caricature of a human head, because there's no way that an average head structure looks like that. But it's funny looking, has an interesting origin mystery, and it stood on my teacher's desk. Because she had a sense of humor, when we asked what it was, she said it was the head of a student who disrespected her too much. Hilarious, am I right? Because I was the one who acknowledged the head the most, she actually gave it to me on the last day as a bye gift. Aw, ain't that nice? And in case you're wondering, no, I did not lose it, it's right here. Yes, I still have it. She wrote something on the bottom that says, "Preston, I know you will take good care of this. It was so nice to teach you in first grade, Mrs. L." Gaw. My second grade teacher, Mrs. Dove, was the one to introduce me to history, or social studies specifically. She was really into reading and getting us interested in new pieces of content. So because of her, I got into the book series Frog and Toad. She proved herself to be really cool as she appreciated comics like Garfield, and she let me bring a Charlie Brown special book for her to read to the class. I also brought my Charlie Brown action figure to pass around. Here comes third grade. Before that year even started, I was anticipating I was going to get a mean teacher based on some miscommunication. What I then got was the exact opposite. One of the sweetest teachers ever, Mrs. Frankenstein. Yes, that is her name. Since I was a more grown boy that year, crushes became apparent to me. So Mrs. Frankenstein was the first teacher I acknowledged as pretty. I'm not saying none of you were. Probably wasn't a good idea to let that opinion slip at my table.
Hey, Mrs. Frankenstein, Preston says you're pretty.
Okay, there's a reason I didn't say it to her face. Okay, for real though, no one laughed at me or held that info over my head. Very surprising and mature for elementary. Silver lining, she was flattered. And she knew how to make all the subjects fun. Fun subjects lightning round! Group reading gave me my first taste of acting when I played the dad in the folktale about a big family living in a small house. Man, that was so much fun. History, I was taught the story of Christopher Columbus, who discovered America, or made it known to Europe. And definitely didn't accidentally spread smallpox, and definitely didn't die a poor man. He wasn't that bad. Math. Just is. Science, where I learned everything I know about precipitation. My teacher also had an assistant we're calling Miss Robin. I always called her sidekick. I mean, they did always make quite a dynamic duo. Miss Robin gave us lessons on the life cycle, using her own pet caterpillar named Arthur. We saw pictures of Arthur's changes for weeks like we were binging a soap opera. Becoming a butterfly and his release into the wild was the grand finale. Hey James, such a shame about the demise of your moth Harry. Him and Arthur could have been friends. Fourth grade has finally come, and my teacher Mrs. Jonah was actually the wife of our gym teacher Mr. Jonah. The Jonahs were pretty famous at school. Mrs. Jonah introduced me to the spelling game known as Sparkle. Every 2 weeks we would get new vocabulary words from the new stories we read. These words we were required to not only know the definitions but also how to spell them. Therefore, the game Sparkle made it fun. My co-students and I would form a circle around the classroom, and we spell the words taking turns on each letter. After the final letter is spoken, the next person says Sparkle, and the person after that is out of the game. The process repeats until 2 people are left. The winner gets a mini candy from the bowl. We've been playing the game all year so far, and I have not won once. Then one time, it seemed like my losing streak would stop. Me and a girl student were the last ones standing, and it was time to finally win a game. Okay, spell apprehensive. A-P-P-R-E-H-E-N-S-I-V-E. Sparkle. No! I lost, but at least Mrs. Jonah was empathetic to give me a candy too. But then, coincidentally on the same day, I went to another classroom I attended where my other teacher I'm calling Mrs. Chance set up another game of Sparkle, and I actually won! Here we are at 5th grade. And weird fact, this grade had to take place in a different building. Really? They couldn't fit one more in there?
Come on, 5th graders, you're taking up too much space. That's it, we need a separate building.
So I am attending my final elementary grade in another building the next town over. And here's a fun addition, this school has stairs and lockers. We are no longer using those lame cubbies. Although it weirded me out that while we can use lockers, we weren't allowed to put locks on them. Does that make sense? How are we supposed to protect our stuff? Like 4th grade, my classes were split between 2 teachers and rooms, but this time split equally. Mrs. Samantha and Mrs. Cool. Mrs. Samantha was quite cheerful, and Mrs. Cool had a lovable attitude. She did get mad, but she still worked to encourage me to do better. And that's exactly what a teacher should do. Usually when it came to not turning work in on time, Mrs. Cool would lecture me on the importance of non-tardiness, and to wrap up, she would literally sing, "Be prepared!" No joke, she was that fun. And because of that fun, during the last months of school, we had the honor of reading and having tests on one of the greatest novels of all time, Holes. I really enjoyed this book. Has a really good heroic tale of a wrongfully accused boy being sent to a camp of consequence, and apparently yellow-spotted lizards aren't real. Literally every chapter of the book intrigued me, as it never got boring. After finishing the book and completing every test, it was near the end of the year, and we celebrated by watching the movie. I gotta say, the movie was just as good as the book. This is indeed a movie to be honored forever, and kept as is... Hold on, a news notification popped up. Oh, come on! So there we go. Elementary was finally over. I was to turn into a teenager that summer and start facing life hardships. Like an inspiration of mine told me, we gotta make the most of it. We managed to get this far, so what's stopping us from getting even further? Well, that's all the stories from my elementary era. If you want me to continue into my middle school era, then be sure to like, comment, and click that sub button. Then I'll continue to the high school era, then college. I think I'll put art and gym class in their own video, Like those health class PSAs say, don't do drugs, kids.